Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
This is Steiny.
Hi.
And I'd like to tell you about a problem I had at the house here the last few months.
Structural?
Kind of, yes. I came downstairs one day, and I noticed that the floor was wet in my laundry room.
God damn it.
Okay.
I
have some
didn't know
thoughts.
why.
Yeah.
And then I came in the recording room here, which is the next room adjacent, which is separated by an unfinished single wall.
Right.
That's just the frame of the wall with some fucking paneling on the other side. And it got all the way up to where your feet are, apparently. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Water heater?
Wasn't sure.
Okay.
So I started doing tests. And I'm checking the drain and the floor. Nothing. I checked the laundry machine, the washer. Connections are fine. We checked the fucking water heater. My dad's like, everything's fine.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes, if there's too much pressure, it might vent itself, but nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, weird. I mean, it did rain a lot, so I don't know. But then I'm checking the foundation, and there's nothing wet on the wall.
Okay, no cracks, no nothing.
Driving me fucking nuts. A couple weeks go by of nothing, and then it happens again. It's not as bad, but there's fucking water that had pooled around the drain of my floor in the laundry room.
What kind of shit is that?
So then, again, I call my dad, who was a plumber for 30-some years. And then he's like, well, I wonder if there's something with... It's been so hot, because we had such a brutal summer,
Yeah.
with the AC running and it draining water there. And I check the hose, and the hose is dry.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck? So he comes over, he's like, well, maybe it's the drain, I don't know. Let's just snake it to be
I was
safe.
just going to say, snake the drain. Maybe you've got some old lint in there from your washing machine or something.
And he snakes it, a good, I don't know, like fucking 8-10 feet, which is pretty good. Now, while he's doing this, he's like, hook a hose up to the faucet above us here in the laundry tub and run cold water.
Sure.
And we're doing that. Now, my dad doesn't think of these things. He has this old 1970s fucking shop light with like a hanging hook.
Yeah.
Like a work light and
One
an
of those
exposed light
hot
bulb.
Son of a bitches, yeah.
You could get a tan from that fucking thing.
Yeah,
It's so
those things
hot.
are hot. You will burn your skin so bad.
And he's like telling me, hold the hose, watch the water, I'm going. And all of a sudden, like the hose slips out of my hand.
Of course.
And it hits the bulb and shatters the bulb. And then he's like, well, get a hold of the hose. And I stood up and turned the water off. I'm like, hey, we just exploded a bulb on an electrical device. Do you think maybe we should not keep the flow of water going, but unplug it and then clean up the glass? Because I don't know about you, but this mystery fucking drainage problem is bad enough. I don't want to have to go to the fucking hospital because I got electrocuted, or have to perform CPR on you and fail, and then have mom hold that over my head for the next 3 decades that she will unfortunately still be alive.
Oh, yeah, she won't go. She'll stay out of spite after that one.
So I go another week, nothing. And then I notice the water's come up again, and there's some bits of toilet paper in it. And I'm like, okay, what the fucking fuck?
Oh, no. Like sewage coming back from the city?
There's no shit.
Okay.
There's just some toilet paper. I had accidentally bought the premium toilet paper because the packaging changed to match the one I buy that's middle of the road.
Sure.
And I don't buy the premium because it leaves crumbs in my ass hair.
Yeah. For some reason, it's too soft, right?
Yeah, and that once upon a time ago ruined a really hot 69 for me between my wife and I.
Oh.
Because she noticed crumbs and she's just laughing like, I can't do it. Like, what's wrong? She's like, there's toilet paper crumbs in your ass hair right now.
Ta-da!
Mood ruined.
For her or for you?
For her.
I was going to say, because you're like, well, just take them out.
Yeah, I could have kept going.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop me. We were 69ing.
How often does that happen?
Not very often.
Right? Yeah.
Call my dad. He comes over. He snakes the drain 26 fucking feet. That's a pretty good distance.
Yeah, you're really reaming in there.
Giggity!
I go a few more days. It happens again. He comes over. He snakes the drain. I'm like, fuck this shit. Something's wrong. So then I thought to myself, God, am I the only one having this problem? I literally went 3 doors in either direction of my house and talked to every fucking neighbor. And nobody else is having problems.
Great. So it's just your connection to the main sewer line, perhaps, then.
Yeah. I guess the guy next door had a problem that he fixed himself, but I heard that from the lady on the other side of him. And she told me that while she was sitting there with her daughter and son-in-law and her husband, who literally died like a day after I talked to them.
What the fuck? What happened? Car accident?
Now he was old and had dementia.
Oh, he died. I thought you meant like all those people died at once. I'm like, whoa.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure they're all still alive except for him.
Right.
It didn't mention anything about a weird accident in the paper in his obituary. Just that he is a retired firefighter and fire inspector.
Oh, fire inspector. So he basically got the city a lot of money.
Yeah, he basically helped them figure out who were arsonists and trying to pull insurance fraud scams.
Yep, yeah.
So back to my fucking drain from hell situation. I'm now at a loss. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Nobody else is having problems. I wait another week, and then it happens again. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. Okay, we got to do something. So my dad's like, oh, you should call this company, which I did. I'm not going to name drop them. They did a good job.
Sure.
My dad was here one day, and a guy showed up to meet him, and they snaked the fucking drain. Not in the drain itself, but the Y pipe.
Oh.
There's a port on there that's, a foot away from the drain where you can go down to that to snake even further.
Yeah, and get a little bit deeper.
And the house was built in 1962. He fucking had to drill out the cap and take it off and replaced it with a new one. He snaked the bitch 46 fucking feet.
And he got the clog, or did he fix it?
Suddenly everything was draining fine, which was great. Until 2 days later when it happened again. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Because I just paid $100 thinking I fixed it.
One of your kids just throwing that premium toilet paper down
Dude, I don't know. But I had scheduled an appointment with the guy from the company to have another guy from the same company. They include a camera job.
A scoping, yeah.
Yeah, a week after that. So in between when they snake the drain, and I think it's fixed, but we scheduled the camera thing, and then it backs up, and I take a picture and call them and be like, you were just fucking here, it's backing up again. The camera guy's coming, okay, we'll make a note of it. Camera guy comes the next week.
Okay.
He gets the fucking thing down in there. Now, my dad's like, oh, this guy was an old pro. Yeah, he used to work for such and such a company for 40 years. He really knows his shit. Because my dad was a master plumber, worked for the state for 30 years.
Okay.
So he knows people that know their shit, or he can tell when somebody knows their shit.
Sure.
And this guy fucking put the camera in there, went 60 feet, all the way to the street. And what he found was a root ball from a tree had found its way into one section of clay piping.
Oh, okay.
So there's the drain pipe, and then my dad called it the soil pipe. I don't know if there was the sill pipe, something. And then there's a 2-foot section of clay, and then the city sewer hookup. And this guy goes, we can take care of that for you. It'll take me and another guy about 3 hours with this machine that goes down in there.
And cuts everything up.
And it cuts everything up, and it spirals and gets all the leftover grime out of the pipe from all these years. $1,700.
Oof.
But if you don't do it now, and then it gets to be a problem again, replacing the whole pipe from the house to the street is going to be $10,000 because they have to excavate. And I don't like either one of those numbers.
No. It's trying to lessen the impact of the 1,700, and you're like,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's how they fucking get you, though, to pay these exorbitant prices, because they'll give you one price that you think sucks, and then they'll quote the worst case scenario at 5 times that rate, so your butt cheek clenches enough that you're like, oh, fuck, I better get my credit card out.
Yep, mechanics all the time, all those places that try to sell service, extra things when you go in for just an oil change. That's exactly what it is.
Sidebar on mechanics. I don't know how many times I've gone in for an oil change, and they're like, oh, yeah, your driver's side front tie rod end is loose.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Is that like a fucking scam that they pull all the time?
I think it's got to be, because these guys are looking for extra work. They're trying to get the add-ons. Remember when we worked at Menards, right? The add-on sales. Yeah. The suggesting things that people don't realize they need, and I honestly think that's the case. Anytime I go in for a recall on my car, so I have a Kia dealership over there in Brooklyn Park that I go to, and there's always some extra service that can be done on my car. Like, they can always come out with this full list of 5 things that I can do that invariably will be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000.
Motherfuckers.
To have them do that day. And it's like, nah, I'll be good.
I've done the tie rod thing before, but they're like, oh, it's loose. And I'm like, show me. and they jiggle it. And I'm just like, I don't know enough about cars, but that doesn't seem like it's enough that it could be a catastrophic fuck up if I don't replace it today. What the fuck?
It's not supposed to be loose, though, really. It's a control arm, so it's supposed to be fairly tight. If there's a lot of wiggle, that means your tire might be wiggling down the road, or your wheel might be wiggling.
Okay, good to know. So back to the fucking drain issue. He leaves. My dad is like, well, I'll snake it one more time to be safe, just here, and we'll see what happens. He snakes it, nothing comes up.
Of course.
And it's fine for like maybe another week.
Right, because it's going to take a little bit of time for that root to back everything back up again.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here, and it gets to the point where I'm doing a load of laundry. Now, somewhere in the story, I forgot to mention that I got so fed up with this shit that I finally went and bought a shop vac. I didn't own one prior.
Yeah, because you got to clean up all that water.
Yeah. So I'm doing a load of laundry, and all of a sudden I realize that the floor is starting to, the water's coming away from the drain. It's come up and it's going out. I'm like, fuck. Right? I turn on the shop vac, but there's like a blow port for like exhaust.
Yep.
And at one point I'm vacuuming up water, and this is the washing machine draining is what's going on. So imagine the volume of water. It's a full load.
Yeah, it's a full drum.
And I'm like, oh shit. It's spitting water out of the exhaust port.
Because you've got so much water now, you're hitting the vacuum thing inside the shop vac.
Oh, I had taken the fucking filter off.
Yeah. But yeah, once you get to that point, it's going to start sucking in the water from the canister.
So what I had to do was quickly grab an old-timey bathtub plug that sits there by the sink, plug the sink that's half full of fucking laundry tub water.
Yep.
Take the shop vac and take 2 empty 5-gallon buckets and fill them up. And take them outside.
Pour them out in the yard.
And pour them out down the driveway.
Yeah.
And then come back in and restart the drain, pull the plug, and then start vacuuming again.
Why didn't you just vacuum the water out of the sink? Or use the 5-gallon bucket? Anyway, sorry.
That probably would have been easier.
Or the 5-gallon bucket in the
I
sink,
didn't think of that at the time because I was panicking because holy shit.
Yep.
I filled 4 buckets, so roughly 19 gallons of water. And then we found out that if somebody took a shit and flushed the toilet, the shit would go down, but some of the paper would come back up, and it was just too much in the pipe. So now we're nervous to take a poop at home.
Yeah.
And then one of my daughters takes a shower, and it backs up again. So I'm like, this is bullshit. You're going to sleep at Grandma and Grandpa's house tonight. The next morning, I shower. I come downstairs. There's a little bit of water, so I vacuum it up again.
You think, okay, I can manage that.
Yeah. My dad comes, he snakes the drain again. Right? And he's like, you should probably have them take that machine. I'm like, I'm not paying $1,700. That's fucking ridiculous. There has to be some other thing we can do. And he's like, well, I know a guy who knows a guy who owns a business where they use high pressurized water to clean out the pipes. And it's a fraction of what it would cost for these other guys. I'm like, why didn't you say that sooner?
Right.
What in the fuck?
Right.
So $700 later, a guy came. He brought a pressure washer. He put it down in the pipe. He cambered it to where he needed to go. He blasted the root ball out.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But in between the night that I had that problem and the day that he came was another day when we had to sit there and we all bathed and I had to fucking vacuum 3 times. Like, we couldn't do any laundry. I took 9 pairs of my dirty underwear, my boxer briefs, put them in a bucket with laundry soap, and I hand washed my underwear like it was the fucking 1800s.
Yep. You got a washboard going too?
No, I'm swishing them and squeezing them, taking them out, rinsing them out, putting them back in I did it like, it worked. My fucking underwear smelled great. Sure. Probably because I used too much soap.
Yeah.
I could use the dryer, that was fine. But yes, I mean, every time we take a shower, we'd get through one shower, fine. Another shower, my shower, because I always go last, fuck, get the shop vac. I had to have the juice. Who was 12, she learned how to use a shop vac.
Atta girl.
I'm like, you stand there, and I'm going to shower as fast as I can. If it starts to pool up, you let it get about a foot away from the drain, you start vacuuming that shit. And she did. And then she panicked because some water came out of the fucking exhaust port.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, a few drops are fine. It's not spraying. Shut up, vacuum. And yeah, here's the clincher about him cleaning the drain with the pressurized water. He's like, now that root ball will probably grow back in 2 or 3 years. So you might want to do it again. And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
And that's what I was thinking when you were talking about this company that would come and grind it up and get it out of there. It's like, but the root's going to keep growing back no matter what you do. The problem is the tree or the root or whatever the fuck's creating that thing.
Yeah. And, you know, around the time that I went door to door with the neighbors, I called the city to come inspect the sewer, and they never fucking got back to me. They said, we will put in a work ticket for someone to check it out. I never saw anybody. They never called me back. No, nothing. Fucking stupid. Yeah. Right? That was weeks prior. To then, with the tree root, I'm like, well, what the fuck? My mom goes, you know, when I was on the city council, we had people with problems like this. And if it was a tree that the city had planted and it was within the 10-foot easement from the street, the city was on the hook for fucking fixing it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, so I played phone tag with the city for 3 days. And he's like, we don't do it like that anymore. I mean, there is, if you want, a service we can provide where we can take the tree out. That's the problem. And then we will replace it, no charge, with a new tree for you somewhere else nearby, because there's a city ordinance that states you must have 2 trees in your front yard. I didn't even know that.
Right.
I mean, think back to your old house.
Yeah, there's the one in the front, and I guess we had one in the back.
But you're supposed to have 2 in the front.
Oh, gosh, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way. We couldn't. Yeah.
There's plenty of people around here that have lost a tree and didn't replace it, and nobody's like, hey, shame on you, motherfuckers.
Where was the neighborhood police coming around? Yeah.
I don't know. But I said to myself, so here's what I'm going to do. I know where the pipe is in relation to the front of my house, where it comes out. Mm-hmm. And he said it was roughly 60 feet out or so, right by the sewer line hookup. So right by the curb.
City. Yeah. Yep.
Where the clay pipe section is that had gotten breached by the root ball. Yeah. And I'm like, why would I pay somebody any money to do work or to take the tree out? I'm just going to dig a fucking trench 6 feet closer from the pipe to the tree, and I'm going to go down till I find the root, and I'm going to cut that motherfucker, and I'm going to cut a 1-foot section out of it, and if I can pull some out more, I will do so, and it won't be a problem anymore.
Yep.
My dad's like, well, how do you know it's that tree? It could be a root from a tree across the street. And I'm like, what?
It could.
He goes, well, tree roots grow diagonally, and they're twice as long as a tree is tall sometimes. It could be a tree across the street. I'm like, what tree? The only tree that could possibly be in that vicinity fucking fell down in 2017 in a storm. And I read that roots will rot away on their own once a tree's gone in 6 to 10 years. It's been 6 years. So then I'm just determined that I'm going to dig a grave in my front yard like a maniac.
Yeah.
And go down in there and hopefully solve the fucking problem.
But how deep do you have to go?
Well, the pipe is allegedly 8 feet down.
I was going to say, because you got to figure your grade line and below your
So
floor.
I figure I have to dig at least 4 feet before I see something. Yeah. And if I have to dig closer to the tree, I fucking will. Because I've dug a hole in the yard before trying to find out where the crack in my foundation is in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's underneath the front fucking step, which is a giant concrete slab.
Right.
Yeah. No fixing that shit. Now, interestingly enough, I go to get the fucking mail 2 days ago. And I see this lady across the street. I refer to them as the Bible bangers because they have Jesus bumper stickers and shit. She's out there with her kids. I say hi to the bigger ones. She's holding the baby. I'm like, can I ask you a weird question about your house? And she's like, yeah, sure. I explain my situation. She's like, oh, we had the same problem when we paid a guy and he did the thing with the hose too. And it was like $200 or $300. And I'm like, I fucking paid twice that, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It's because the place is located in Lakeville. And because I was further away, they charged me more to come here.
Oh, so knowing a guy who knew a guy maybe didn't help you here if somebody more local would have been able to do the same service. Yeah.
So if I had actually crossed the street to see if anybody had problems as opposed to just my side of the street, I might have found out that a guy only like 3 cities away from here, he would do it for half the price.
Damn.
But now pretty soon you're going to see me digging a fucking hole in my yard.
Right.
And hopefully nobody falls into it while I'm in there. But it's what you got to do. It's one of those shitty homeowner problems that you have. Fucking tree roots.
So this whole time you've been telling the story, I've been wanting to kind of chime in because this is similar to when I was living out in Lino, off of the house over in Hodgson. We have 2 bathrooms there, right? We had an upstairs one that was just a toilet and a sink. And there was a downstairs one, full bathroom with a tub, shower, and toilet. Well, Scott always used the downstairs bathroom. That was his toilet, right? I would use the upstairs one.
My son
would use the upstairs one. We would just use the shower downstairs. occasionally we'd have water back up, but it was mainly due to the fact that, hair buildup, that kind of stuff. Well, there was a situation with the toilet, and Scott's a big guy, and he would leave big deuces, right? And I kind of wondered if maybe that was part of the problem, right? Because sometimes he would have problems flushing that thing, where that thing would just be getting clogged all the time.
He would have needed a poop knife like Joey Black, who bought poop knives or had a box of plastic knives under his bathroom vanity.
Just so he could cut up his
So he
shit.
could cut his poop so it would go down.
There you go. But it turns out it was more the fact that that line from the toilet had exactly that exact same problem. There was roots growing into the piping where it would drain back towards like our laundry room and then towards the street, obviously.
Yeah.
And Scott, same type of thing. He was snaking that. He would put all this stuff down there that was supposedly dissolve the roots. Could never really get it good, to the point where the landlord had to come out and do some stuff. I forget what they ended up doing, but it was quite a process for like a year trying to get that drain to run right. Yeah, same thing. So just constant headache, the roots getting in there, and you can't get rid of them. I mean, like I said, he used some type of chemical that was supposed to kill them and help start dissolve them, but that takes time because they're wood.
You got to get further up the root.
Yeah,
to fucking sever it. So,
and to that point, my backyard, we have a beautiful big ash tree, but we have very sandy soil over there in Park. And over the years, it's starting to crown, right? And as it crowns, the roots that it sends out get more and more exposed, right? And it had one root that it was sending back towards our deck. The bottom of our deck steps, there's a concrete slab there. And it was forcing the slab up and at a funny angle to where our steps were twisting. Our steps were actually twisting. So 2 years ago, in the late summer, fall, I had to do exactly what you're talking about. I dug down, I found this root, I chopped the shit out of it. I basically went underneath the slab, I jacked it up with like sledgehammers and stuff and got the root out from underneath there, and then tried to even out the sand and level it again and basically get my deck steps to sit semi-normal again. It was quite a fucking process, but man, I had to battle that root for like a week trying to get my shit back to normal. So yeah, trees are great, they're wonderful, but they can cause so many problems when it comes to other stuff, structurally, plumbing-wise.
Well, here's what I don't understand. Why the fuck are they using clay piping? If that can be a possible problem, why wouldn't you use a steel pipe all the way that can't be pierced by a tree root?
I'm sure there's got to be reasons. I don't know. I'm not a plumber. I wonder if some of it has to do with the connection to the main sewer line, if you have to have certain materials. Maybe it was one of those things grandfathered in because you are an old, suburb built in the 50s out here.
Yeah.
So that was just the standard at the time, and it costs too much to go and replace everybody's connection.
Sons of bitches.
Right? But you see that from time to time where they'll redo a street and they'll have to go in and redo the entire sewer line for that whole road or something because it failed. So
somebody had a problem half a block down because they fucking made a giant grave in the street for 2 days.
Yeah, I saw
that. And we're
that.
down in there, and then they fucking filled it back in and paved back over it.
See? Yeah.
So, it's a great, quiet neighborhood with a nice tree canopy, except for, on the main drag now where they've taken out 30-some fucking trees for whatever reason. And I don't want to get rid of my front yard tree because, I've lived here for 11 years. It's a good tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I guess if I got to get rid of it, I got to get rid of it. I don't know.
I'd do what you're going to do. I would try the root thing first, because if you can cut that root, it'll never be a problem again, at least from that root. At least while you're here, because it's going to take 10 15 years for that thing to grow back, and who's to say it would grow back into that same spot or mess with your plumbing, right?
Yeah.
So
well, this ends the episode of This Old House. I guess. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/ What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
This is Steiny.
And that's the end.